Welcome back to No Death Runs, and so on and so forth. I'm here with a little bit of a different video this time. Basically, someone asked me to make a video about my Borderlands 3 build. Since I've been playing a fair amount of Borderlands 3, I'm up to max level, and I've been tinkering trying to get my build the way I want it, and I think I finally hit a good spot with it. So basically, I'm just going to go through that really quickly, and then at the end of the video, I got about 5 minutes of gameplay recorded, just showing what this build can do. So if you're really only here for the action, you could skip ahead to that point. Maybe I'll put a timestamp over here somewhere. But before that, I'm just going to go through basically the build. I apologize if you hear my cat in the background. He thinks it's his dinner time, but it is in fact not his dinner time. Anyway, this build is basically built around abusing ties that bind. This isn't exactly the meta build. I know it's a meta build to use ties that bind with stillness of mind, which is what I'm doing, with the idea that I could basically suspend a whole group of enemies in the air, and they're linked, they share damage between them, and I can wipe out whole groups of enemies, or disable whole groups of enemies, and just kill them very quickly. I also use Cryo as my element because I find it more effective. Like fire and corrosive and electric, they all have their resistances, but Cryo, the only thing that's resistant to Cryo is specifically shields. So it's in general better, and then you have the ability to freeze enemies, which holds them up for a while, you know, or slow them down. All very effective. But the main crux of this build is this Phasezerker mod, which basically says I can build up a giant stack of rush. We'll go into rush in just a second. But we can build up a giant stack of rush to deal an obscene amount of damage. Again, you'll see a demonstration of that at the end of the video. But just going through my skill trees, I went 5 points in Do Harm and 3 in Violent Tapestry, because by building up those rush stacks, Do Harm allows me to do an obscene amount of damage, and Violent Tapestry basically guarantees that I'm going to freeze enemies. I put a point here in Alacrity just to help speed up reload, since I often have so many rush points, stacks, skills, whatever. So it just basically helps me reload faster. And then Restless. I want my action skills cooldown to be as low as possible, and so I obviously want to max that out. This ability doesn't do very much, but it does help make sure that enemies that get hit when they're phase locked don't immediately break out of those phase locks. And here, this ability and this one, these are basically just about upping damage, increasing damage as much as possible, again, just to make the build broken. Same basic deal with this, just makes everything work better. Remnant, I only have 1 point Remnant because that was really all the points I could spare, but that's enough, because the overkill damage, sometimes we're talking millions of damage. They can kill a powerful enemy just with this energy ball that comes and hits them. Especially when I'm able to kill other enemies so quickly using Phasezerker with the ties that bind. And then of course I have the blue capstone, which means I can basically use my action skill twice as much and build up even more stacks of rush. Alright, I have the full 5 points in this, plus my class mod, put an extra point here, just to up my status effect damage. Here we further up our status effect damage with 5 points in Tempest, 5 points in Wildfire. Wildfire honestly isn't that good, because enemies just, it doesn't spread between them very well. Like, they have to be really close together for them to spread, but there really wasn't much else I could put points in that mattered. People like Infusion. I don't like Infusion because it doesn't necessarily work well with the capstone in this tree, but whatever, personal preference and all that. I also stuck a point here because every time I phase grasp an enemy, I get a 15% gun damage boost for several seconds. That seems pretty good. This is the thing that lets bullets ricochet and hit other enemies, again, dealing a whole bunch of extra group damage. Put a point here just because bigger magazine size makes for higher DPS. Now I only have 1 point here because I do so much damage, so much elemental damage with my guns, that it actually doesn't really matter that there's only 1 point. I'll instantly go to full health. This is one of those things that helps, because the greatest weakness of this build is sometimes I get caught between action skills, waiting for an action skill to recharge, and I just kind of get caught there and enemies can take me down. This helps buy me time because I can gain my whole health back just by shooting. Conflux is also good. Now I only put 4 points in here. My class mod got it up to 5. I could see potentially trying to find a better Phasezerker that puts more points here, but my Phasezerker does other things so well that I haven't wanted to replace it. But basically, this just makes sure that when I'm putting elemental effects on enemies, and I'm usually hitting them with 2 effects at a time, sometimes even 3 at a time, if one of those effects take, there's a chance they'll get hit with with even more of an elemental effect, with basically another elemental effect to further increase damage. And then lastly, the capstone, 18% of damage dealt, bonus elemental damage, based on the element that I picked, which, as we all know, is Cryo. Okay, now in the green tree, I've heard that basically no matter what Amara build you're doing, you want to max out personal space, and I would agree. If I get up close to an enemy, I could deal up to 54% extra damage, and it's really, really good. It's a huge increase. Now, I didn't actually put any points in clarity. It's actually my mod putting these points in clarity. All this does is just help regenerate missing health, which is good. You know, I get hit hard, I can regenerate my health without having to do anything else. Instead, I chose to put my points here, just 2 points here, to increase my maximum health a little bit, just to help me stay alive, especially since I can use my health as a buffer, since I'm gaining life so quickly. And then lastly, I stuck 1 point here. Now, if the level cap were a little higher, I would put more points here on a heartbeat. It just, I don't have the points to spare to put more points here, but a 12% damage reduction after using my action skill, which does even count. Situation like this, where I fire that off and there's nobody around, it's still working. So it is quite helpful. And then lastly, I stuck 5 points here in Heavy Rain just to be able to access Cryo. Heavy Rain boosting my projectile speed 70% and splash damage 35%. Not always relevant, but I do actually use a gun with some splash damage on it, so, you know, a little bit helpful. Okay, going through items. The Hell Shock is the main crux of this. This is what I think a good Hell Shock looks like. I'm not necessarily an expert on this. I haven't done all this research on it. But this is the best Hell Shock I've found, and I found a whole bunch of them. Important to make sure we have the 27% weapon damage boost and a 36% weapon charge speed, so it doesn't take all day to charge. Basically, it already fires like this. I gotta wait that long for it to charge. The fire rate is the byproduct of my shield, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Normally the fire rate's not that high, but the main thing that makes this Hell Shock so good is its anointment, which says, when an action skill is active, weapon damage is increased by 200%, which means if I have an enemy phase grasped, this thing triples its damage. You'll see it at the end of the video. I will absolutely shred people with this thing. The other weapon I use the most is my Hornet. Now granted, I'm still using Earl's reroll machine in Sanctuary to try to get the right anoint, because the anoint I want is this one. I want the action skill as active, damage increase 200% thing. This is not the right anoint. I've just been feeding iridium into it and I haven't got it. But it's still pretty good. It's a splash damage weapon that does a bunch of damage. If I'm going up against an enemy with armor, I need to be able to deal a lot of corrosive damage. And this one, since it fires in 6-shot bursts, basically does 120,000 damage at a time. And just imagine how good that'll be if I triple that. These other weapons don't matter as much. I barely touch them. I'm trying to figure out what to do with these slots. Like, I really want a good radiation weapon. I just really haven't found one. So I'm just experimenting with whatever I find. Eventually, I'm sure I'll find one. Same here. I kind of like to keep a cryo weapon on hand to round it out, but I really don't use these weapons very much, so they're completely interchangeable. They could easily become, I don't know, I could use Expert Storm is decent, Lob is decent. Although, honestly, I see people talk it up more than, I don't know, it's maybe not that great. I haven't really had much success with it, but this one's been pretty good, though. Accurate, high fire rate, good for sniping stuff. But again, I gotta get my anoints better on those. My current shield is a Super Soldier. I actually just picked that one up. That's from the new DLC, where I unlocked it here under my gear. So I highly recommend that one, because that's the thing that allows me to have this kind of fire rate, as long as my shield is full. Now my backup alternate to this shield, and one I would use if I'm in a situation where preserving my life is more important, is the stopgap. The thing that when the shield breaks, basically when the shield runs out, I become immune to any damage for 5 seconds. That's why it's so good. And with this particular anoint on it, the same effect happens every time I use my action skill. So every time I phase grasp someone, boom, immune to damage for 5 seconds. Very, very helpful. Of course, the crux of this is the Phasezerker. Now, I would prefer, with the stats it gave me, I would prefer having less of a boost to the healing Since you see I got 3 out of 5 in the one that heals me, I don't care that much about that. I don't need that. I'd rather boost my conflux as much as I can, but unfortunately it is what it is. And the reason I keep using this particular Phasezerker, because I have found a few different ones, but this one boosts splash damage, so it makes my Hornet better. It boosts weapon damage quite a lot, and it boosts weapon magazine size, so basically this thing boosts my DPS a ton, and I really can't turn that away. I have to find something comparable or better. Like if I found one of these that also, say traded out splash damage for action skill cooldown, oh man, I'd be all over that. The other thing I use, your grenade mod I found on Mayhem 11, the high Mayhem levels does not actually really matter. But what matters most is having a good anoint on it to help boost you up. So in this case, when my action skill ends, I get a 50% bonus shock damage for 10 seconds. And that's useful because it basically adds shock damage to all my weapons, in addition to the cryo damage. So if that's active, I have cryo damage, I have shock damage, plus usually fire or corrosive. So that's 3 elements I'm hitting enemies with at the same time, which when you have conflux being able to create extra elemental effects on enemies, basically they're going to be dealing with all of the elements. Now in this case I do like the fast, shocking fastball just to help me bring down shields, but honestly as I said, grenades just aren't that great on Mayhem 11, Mayhem 10, so it is what it is. The other thing I like, there's this one little insurance policy, so if my health gets too low, this will help bail me out a little bit and help me stay alive by making me invulnerable temporarily if my health gets too low. The main thing I also like about this one is it boosts weapon accuracy, incendiary damage, and ignite chance, which are all really good when I'm using a fire weapon primarily. So, all good on that. Okay. Last thing I was going to go through before I get down into some gameplay is my Guardian ranks. I basically wanted to go down the Hunter tree first. Regenerating grenades every 10 kills is okay. This was the big one. While my shield is full, my action skill cooldown rate increases substantially. We're talking a 200% increase. I've noticed it's about 5 seconds for my action skill to recharge while my shield is full, which combines well with this shield reboot, where killing an enemy will cause my shield to regenerate. Now, I only just got this, I will say. I haven't had much chance to try it. In fact, you get to see me try it at the end of this video. Try it out for the first time to see how it goes, but I didn't really need it that much in that segment, so I'll see how it goes when I play again later. But these two combined seem really good together, I think. And then we have this to increase luck, just to help boost my rare weapon chance, which is always good. And then this one. This is the one that plays really well with the fact that we're an elemental build, because enemies taking 5% more damage for each status effect on them. Oh yeah, when we get easily 2 or 3 status effects on enemies, sometimes 4, that's a significant damage boost. Anyway, as you can see with the things I picked, I mostly focus on action skill cooldown on the left. Luck for the rare drop rate is good. Otherwise, I also want to increase fight for your life duration, because if I go down, I want to have the chance to get myself back up. Otherwise, it's whatever. I just picked whatever the best option was there. And from this point, there's some stuff I kind of want in the Enforcer tree, like gun damage being increased by 2% for 1 second with each shot. Basically means if I hit an enemy with 15 of these, we're talking 30% damage boost on the last one. That seems pretty good. But I'm not super worried about that. I do a ton of damage as it is. Anyway, enough of me rambling. Enjoy some gameplay or something, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay, I came to the slaughter shaft to basically demonstrate the way this Phasezerker thing works. I can keep using my ability like this, and you see at the bottom it's building up those numbers up to 99, and they will wear off fairly quick. But the idea is, by getting it to 99, we'll be doing an insane amount of damage and elemental status stuff to enemies that are caught in my skill. And I came here to the slaughter shaft because it's a great spot to demonstrate. So I start that. Just gonna wait for some enemies to show up in numbers more than 1. Okay, there's a guy right in front of me. That's not good. Actually, with only 1 guy in front of me, I can't really demonstrate my ability right now. There we go. Get him up there. But you can see the power of the Hell Shock here, just taking down a Zealot here, even on this difficulty, with Mayhem turned all the way up. But, alright, let's see if we can get this thing charged up again. We're at 46, 71, 95. Just trying to get these guys, kill them all in one go. There we go. And I aim for one of these guys, and you see the rest of them all just drop dead before the initial guy does.
Come on, I want a damn challenge.
And that's basically what this build is meant to do. Try to get a bunch of guys caught up at once. Yep. I changed my control scheme yesterday too, so I'm still kind of getting used to that, but come on. Again, the power of the Hell Shock with its triple damage once I get guys all locked up. Alright, now that my skill's recharged, I can charge it back up again. Take some cover for a second. Okay. Hey, nobody else came over here this time, so I gotta just deal with this one guy. See if that thing kills her. Nope. Okay. Grab that. All guns to look at later. Okay. They all need to calm down. Anyway, as you see, that number on the bottom is building up. We're gonna try to get that up to 99 so I can wipe out a whole group of people real quick. Alright, pop out. I see how they're linked like that. And the other guy just died. Wait for it to recharge. There's a whole lot of guys here now. Should be able to kill a whole group of them here. And you see I'm gaining back life so fast, they can't kill me either. And I went down there, finally. And back up. There we go. Notice also how I'm getting close to the enemies to deal more damage to them. Thunderball Fists. Got a bunch of those. That's a pretty good gun, I think. Anyway. Alright, see if we can finish these guys off. Has to be a spot where I normally break this guy out. You just see the raw power of the Hellfire on this, or the Hell Shock, excuse me, on this difficulty. There we go. Take them all down. There's nobody else around here but this guy. That's alright. Alright. Wait for it to recharge. It'll go faster once my shield is full, but... Alright. Start firing it off again. Alright. Let's go find and see if there's a group of them over here. There we go. They're all dead. How about you? You want some? Where'd you go? There's a group of them over here. There we go. And that elemental orb finished him off. Here's where you sometimes get into trouble. Situations like this where I'm waiting for my action skill to recharge, which is now done, so I'm once again in fine shape. I noticed the number on the bottom is only 23, so it takes me longer to kill them at this point. When you get it to 99, they die pretty quick. But there you go, just like that, I got the wave almost down. So I got one more guy hiding somewhere. Where's this guy? Where is this guy? Aha! What are you doing standing up there for? I know I can switch to electric, but powerful enough, I don't really care that much. And just like that, we're through a round of this thing. And lastly, here's an attempted wave with the shield regeneration on kill. This is actually my first attempt with it, so let's see how this goes. There goes, a great chance to see this ability just kill everybody. Even that guy, he gets hit with the energy ball from behind and he's just done.
Talk to the hand.
See if we can take down this whole wave here. Alright. To get my thing to recharge. Faster would be better.
Anyone else
And the room is cleared. Alright. Recharge it again. That guy's coming in behind me this time. Go.
I am the greatest.
You ain't gonna jump me!
Alright, got a few more over here. And done. Just like that. Well, that was some gameplay from me. Hope you enjoyed. I know it's just kind of a different video, maybe boring if you don't play Borderlands, but someone had asked me for information about my build, and I figured I would go into it, since I really enjoy the way this one plays. I'll probably actually make some Borderlands videos at some point, but I also do want to get back to playing those other games, because it's going to be interesting, me jumping back into Horizon with having not touched it for, what, like 5 months, I think, and playing on a hard difficulty, which is the whole point of that, and trying to see if I can not die. I don't know. That'll have to happen at some point. Maybe you guys get to see me die very quickly in the next video. Who knows? Anyway, y'all have a good day, good night, whatever it is where you are, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.